Okay.
Here we go. MIC crazy. What I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here. You can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon. I can fly real high in the air like a don't care. Let me tell you why. Donkey Kong, clap along if you feel like a coconut without the shell. Donkey Kong, he's the leader of the bunch.
Hello, good people of the internet. Welcome to another Let's Listen here on Bonus Stage. My name is Josh, and I am joined here by Diego and Arturo, made famous by Voonic2. Oh, we're going to get some tambourines, some live tambo solo.
Yes, the celebratory
That's
tambourine.
great.
Oh man! Oh, we're adding excitement to this already. Well, I'm excited. I was telling you guys backstage that I could not believe that we've got your very first long play album here to be released. That's out today on streaming platforms or just on Bandcamp, isn't it?
It's tomorrow, like everywhere. It's gonna be
Oh,
everywhere tomorrow. Yeah.
oh, so
So
we've
today
got
is like the premiere, like the global premiere.
Yeah,
You're here,
yeah.
or like you miss it?
Yeah, awesome. We've got the exclusive. I love it. Thank you so
Exactly.
much. Well, folks. Sorry, Diego Arturo. For the folks who might not know who you are, why don't you introduce yourselves? Tell us a little bit about what you do in the band.
For sure. So you want to start, Arturo, or should I?
well, yeah. My name is Arturo, as you heard, but my on stage name is RPG. I play guitar and I contribute on vocals in a couple songs.
And he is from Mexico,
Oh, yeah, that's
originally.
true. That's important. Yeah, I was born in Mexico, living in Montreal long time ago.
Yeah. And
Nice.
for my side, my name is Diego. My stage name is Nasono, and I play the bass guitar, and also I program the chip tunes and the drums for the band. And originally from Colombia, living in Montreal like for many years too. So yeah, it's and we are Voonic2. We do chip tunes rock. We do tons of original songs, but we also have several VGM covers here and there.
Covers, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. I just find that super cool and serendipitous that you both happen to be Latin Americans living in Montreal.
Oh yeah,
Was that like a prerequisite that you had, Diego? You're like, I got to find another.
completely. I was like, it has to be from Mexico. Nah, no, it was just by chance, and but of course it helps a lot because when you need to communicate things, like English is our second language, and so Spanish is the first to go. So
Yeah,
sometimes you like for more musical stuff and for more like specific details, it's a lot easier than with other musicians, especially here in Quebec. When I was telling Josh before, like I met so many musicians before Arturo for this project. Some of them were like just French speakers, and it was like 100% more difficult to try to explain sometimes what I want, and I was like, oh my god, this is very hard.
So and now, like Diego and I, like sometimes we mix English, French, Spanish. Like it comes
Yeah, exactly.
naturally living here in Montreal.
Yeah, that's life here. Exactly.
oh man. Well, that might be a natural segue. While we're on the subject of your history and stuff, Scrobot has asked a very important question in chat, and that's describe how you defeated Voonic 1 in a combat to the death.
Well,
Wow.
that's a very interesting question. I never got the pleasure to meet Vunik 1. Yeah, I don't know about like its past. So we started with Vunik 2, and that all we know.
Yeah. And usually the sequel is better anyways,
Yeah,
right?
usually it is. Yeah, yeah. I prefer a lot of the second games like Mega Man, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Yeah, it's an
Double Dragon.
enhanced version.
Yeah. So yeah, the improved one.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, as I was saying earlier, I was super surprised to hear that this is actually like your first LP. You've had a couple of EPs. You've been on bonus stage like quite a few times actually. I still think of like that time you threw us like a birthday party and had the
Yeah,
gymnasium all decked out with balloons and stuff. But this LP, this album, is it encapsulates the Voonic 2 history, as it were, and you guys do have a little bit of a story about that. Do you want to tell us kind of like where this album started and kind of like what the scope of the project is?
Yeah, completely. Basically, this project has been going on for many years, and it's going like a roller coaster. You have its ups and downs. You have periods of time where it was completely frozen. So a lot of things have happened, and from as we will be talking later on, from 2019 the ball started like really rolling. We start like really working as a band, and start like like composing a lot more songs, and start our shows, and having like more presence everywhere. So at some point, after doing some shows, virtual and like live shows and everything, we had like a very good amount of material that we wanted to put in an album. So at some point we said, well, let's take a small break here, and let's think about more into recording something. So like we kind of made the decision together of what to include, what we wanted to this album to kind of show to the people. And at the end of the day, I think we end up with a really nice product that kind of shows everything about Voonic, and that's why we are kind of like really excited, because it shows so many things about the band. And we really hope you enjoy it as we did recording it, and during the whole process of it.
Yeah, and also was the motivation we got from releasing the previous EPs. We also liked like the people who really appreciated our music, and it was really motivating for us to, okay, why don't we make like a full album this time? So things are doing good, so the feelings there, the creativity is there, so why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And sometimes, like after building up all of that energy and I guess it's kind of like giving birth, right? You've just been letting this incubate for so long, and then you finally get to make the big final pushes, and then you have yourself a little musical child.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the
That's
egg
the best
finally
way.
hatched.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Well, some of the songs on this album, you guys were telling me backstage. There's like a bit of a collection here. We've got 3 tracks from the distant past. We've got 3 tracks that come from the not so distant past, and we've got 3 tracks on the album that are a little bit more recent. So I think what you guys wanted to do tonight was not to play the album in its track order, but we are actually going to be mixing it up a little bit. We're going to be listening to the tracks, in that kind of chronological order of kind of like when they were created. Yeah, so why don't we get to starting with this first little chunk here, some of these old songs here. Diego, I guess you're the one to ask about this, aren't you? Why don't you
Yeah.
tell us about these songs and what they mean to you?
Yeah, I wonder what Arturo has to say about this era. So yeah, basically, you're right. Like the songs that the way we were gonna listen it represent the story of the band. So from the beginning to where we are now,
Hmm.
kinda. And let's start from the beginning. So um, when I was in Colombia, back in Colombia, I've always been involved in music. So I played since I was in school, basically, and I was involved in so many bands, and doing some like many different music. So when I came to Canada, I wanted to continue doing that. So I started, like looking for bands, and luckily for me here in Montreal, the musical scene is really big. So there's a lot of musicians, there's a lot of things going around, festivals, and things are like kind of a lot easier than if we compare with my country. So I was like super happy. I was getting the possibility to meet a lot of other musicians, and I got involved in a lot of projects, and then I got into a lot of concerts, something I never had back in my country, because well, from the time I was young, my country was like really kind of dangerous. It was a black era there. So for sure bands never wanted to stop there. So it was like very limited, the access to different music in general.
Hmm.
So when I arrived here, it was like completely different. I was like, oh my god, this is paradise. I can go, attend a concert every week. So many different type of
Oh
bands.
yeah.
So in one of those adventures, I was super lucky enough to find a band called Anamanaguchi,
Mm.
and they were playing in Montreal, and I attended the concert. I was very curious about, because I saw like some video or something of them explaining how they hacked a Game Boy, I think, to make their sounds. I'm like, what they are talking about? Like, what is this hacking consoles for music? So I attended the concert and it blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, these guys are taking one of my most treasured memories, which are the old school video game soundtracks, like Mario and all those very old 8-bit sounds, and they are incorporating it into rock music. I was like, "Whoa!" And that day I said, I need to do that too. So I stopped all other projects I had. I was playing, like in punk metal bands, all things. I was like, no, I want to do my thing. So I started,
So that was like the day after
the
the
day.
Anima Gucci
Yeah,
concert.
exactly.
Diego's like, "Sorry guys, I quit the band."
Exactly, that was it. So I was like, okay, but I need to kind of learn, or study a little bit about how to do this. So I started, listening to similar bands. There was another band called Horse the Band,
Hmm.
which was a little bit more hardcore, but they use a lot of chip tunes and sounds like that. So I was listening to it. I was listening to different sources of inspiration, and I started writing music. I was, like very influenced by my old roots in terms of rock and punk and metal.
Mhm.
So I was writing songs a little bit in that sense still, and trying to incorporate chiptunes on top of that. So of course there was a lot of uh, like failed trades, I would say, and after a while I was kind of getting the hang of it, because at the same time I was learning to do chiptunes, right? So I had some software in my computer to do stuff. So I was like learning about the different ways and how to manipulate it, and all the boring stuff, I would say. But during all this time I was doing that, and then after a while I kind of got the hang of it, and I started composing like the real songs, let's say, about like for the project.
Mhm.
So the first three songs I composed were one that is called Level One, that is not recorded. I think we don't have it anywhere. It's like a really obscure song that I think we have never played that live, Arturo.
I think we just did it once, and that's
Yeah,
it
maybe. Yeah, that's it.
at Turbo House.
Yeah, if you want to be like a really hardcore fan of Voonic 2, you have to know that song, because it's like the most obscure of one of our repertoire.
Actually, it was in our very, very first live show,
Yeah, I
like
think so. Yeah,
in 2020, before
yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah, 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 yeah. You're
stopped.
right. You're right.
Wow.
So yeah, that was the first song, and then I composed another one called Dragon, Tiger, and Unicorn, which is in our EP DTU,
Yep.
one of my favorite songs to play. And also I composed the one of the songs that is in the album, that is called Zombie Attack. So that was, we're talking about year 2011, something like that. So imagine, it's like very, very long time ago. And then I was happy with the songs. I was like, oh, this is going well, I think. So I started showing, to my friends, showing to people at work, and people were like, oh, this is interesting, this is nice, and I was having a very good feedback. But I wasn't like 100% sure. I was like, yeah, maybe they're being nice with me, but I really, need real feedback. But then, like my boss of that time told me, oh, the music is really good, and I know a guy, my cousin. He works for a company that makes games for mobile, and in this precise moment, they're building a game. It was an RPG with some like particular features, and they wanted someone to do the music for the game, and it was a very, very simple game, very basic, and they wanted to have some sort of nostalgic 8-bit tunes. So he said, oh, I think this is perfect. You want me to give you the contact? So I was like, okay, let's go for it. And I end up meeting this guy, and we end up working together. And I created a soundtrack for this old game for mobile that was called King Caching. And everyone was like really happy. So I was like, at that point, I said to myself, I think this has future. I think this is something that we can, like work on and really create something for that. And it was the real, I would say, beginning of the band. So yeah, and then after that, I continue composing like several songs, and after like having, I would say, like around 5 songs, something like that, I started, looking for people, and that was when my nightmare started.
Oh,
Because there were a lot of people interested, but not many people committed to it. So it was like a roller coaster, like meeting people motivated, starting learning the song, starting practicing, and at some point, people saying, "You know what? I maybe I am not the right choice for this," and then starting all over again with different musicians. So yeah, that stayed like that for many years. So now related to the album, songs that come from that era, as I said, the first one, Zombie Attack, that was one of the very first, and there's two others that we're going to listen that are New Venus and Hero. Those are like
Hero.
the three songs that we have in the album that are like from many years ago.
mhm.
Yeah, and like a hero, like it's like Diego says, it's from many years ago, but it happened that it was conceived together, like when we were in a lockdown. Like that's when I had the time and the freedom. I was very lucky because of my job back then. I was able to stay at home, and so I was making music pretty much every day. So we were doing this like a long distance. Conference calls, video calls. Okay, like let's. We also made a video of that of Hero, like when we just had everything settled and we made the song together.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. Well, shall we get into it then?
yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, folks, we are going to listen to the first, well, not the first 3 songs on the album. We are going to listen to 3 songs on the album, and these are the first of the Voonic2 songs on this debut album. So yeah, we're going to listen to New Venus, which is track 1. We're going to listen to Zombie Attack, which is track 4, and then we're going to listen to Hero, which is track 6. So without any further ado, let's listen. That's amazing. I would normally say, what an amazing opening to the album, but in fact, we have been bouncing around a little bit. All the same, strong start. Love the way you guys sound. Love the performances. Diego, you said you were remembering some unique things about some of the
Oh
tracks we
yeah,
just listened to.
yeah, completely. Like one of the more particular things about these songs is that since I'm not a guitarist, but I have, like very basic notions of music. When I was creating the songs, I was like creating these bass lines, creating the chip tunes and the good drums, and they was like, oh, I need guitar. So I had, an old guitar, and I was doing the most basic chords, like yeah, and the songs sound like so flat, and that's why if you notice, and maybe you will notice the difference between these songs and the next ones, most of these songs are like really heavy on just chords, like riffs. And of course, Arturo came and said, "Oh, let me do those riffs. Like, is easy, but I'm gonna also put melody here and there and line." So I was like, that's what I needed. So that's one of the particular things. And then the next songs that we're gonna listen in the next two blocks, you'll notice that the guitars are a lot more, like worked than in the past songs. And there's another element that I found like really funny in these songs. If you notice in New Venus, there's a very cool solo at the kind of end of the song, right?
Yeah.
So
Arturo was like, "All right, I have a solo in this."
and it's funny because when we start working on that song, I wrote a solo myself, like at the beginning when this was like very very old, and I think it was a decent solo. I was like, oh, it sounds okay, and I recorded and I was all good. But then when I started, meeting with musicians, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna, impose you anything. I just
Uh-huh.
want you to make this your own thing. So Arturo did that. He made his own solo, and we like I was like, oh, this is nice. It sounds nice, right? And we just went with that, and we played shows like that, and we practiced like that, and we completely forgot, or at least myself, I forgot completely about the first iteration of the song. And then when we were like, in the process of recording and everything, I found my very first recordings of the song, and I remembered that solo that I made, and I was like, "Oh my god, this brings so many memories." You know what, Arturo? What about changing the solo that you have been playing for the last 3 years
Yeah.
just for the album? And we were like a week before the studio for that song, and he
That's
was
true.
like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
"Oh
yeah. I
my god,
remember.
no
I
pressure."
had
Eh?
to come up with a solo like as fast as possible. Yeah. I
So yeah,
think
that
I
solo
did. I
that
hope I did a decent
yeah, no,
a
that solo
decent
that
take.
you heard is like, I would say, RPG's version of the original solo, which is like super, super, super good. I mean, I had the basic idea, and he just made it, like a Voonic2 real solo. So yeah, it ended up like really, really well.
Oh man, I love how just like finding Arturo has just like given your project so much more depth. It
Oh
sounds like
yeah,
you guys have just
completely.
like really gelled together, and things sound absolutely like cohesive, and like there's some real vision and depth there. Yeah, speaking of collaboration, we are going to look at this wonderful cover art that you guys have created, and you were telling me that this was also a collaborative effort.
Exactly. It's because well, before being a musician, I'm a graphic designer, and I was very nervous because I wanted something like really cool because it's our first album. It's like it has to be something special, and then it comes the creative blocks, and then it comes all the pressure, and then we have our things to do. We are like we have our businesses, our regular jobs and everything. And there was a time like on us already, and I was like really, really trying to find more inspiration. Like I came up first of all with the Warriors, with the idea of the Warriors,
Mm.
and I did so many tries. Like Diego was like approving, disapproving. Like he was like yes, no. Like so it was okay. Let's change it. Okay, again, one more change.
No, the worst thing is that, to me, in this kind of things, since I would say Arturo was the leader in this project, so I guess he has the pressure, as he said, because he wanted like to have something good, and I had like less pressure in that, so I was kind of a pain in the butt because I was like, oh, I had an idea, let's do this. Oh, I have a this
Well,
idea.
and
Oh,
also
now
like
what about?
Diego, because of the nature of his job, he's really skilled in computers. I have knowledge in computers and software, but like I have like a more traditional approach to graphic design because when I majored in graphic design, it was like a very long time ago, and we used to do things manually, and the technology was still very, very basic. Like I remember we used Corel Draw when I was majoring
Oh
in graphic
wow,
design.
yeah.
So
I haven't thought of Corel and like that's
Corel
like
Draw.
wow. Anyway, sorry.
Oh
Go
yeah.
ahead.
So yeah, that's it. That's A. And then B, I was very shy to show any drawings because I like to draw since I was a kid, and but I've always been so insecure about my drawing. So this is like the very well. Actually, the second time. The first time was with a DTU EP, the Tiger.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
it,
Mhm.
and these warriors, I created them and I made them. So I used my artistic skills, my designer skills to
Mhm.
draw them.
Oh man, I can just imagine your frustration when you said like Diego had an idea. I just like instantly my mind went to, oh gosh, every graphic designer ever having to deal with a client and the difficulty
Exactly.
of like no, but like truly like people who aren't in that field don't know what the terminology is, don't know how to communicate their ideas correctly, and just like some of the
Oh yeah,
miscommunications
yeah,
that
yeah.
can create. But no, like I think you guys really did a good job like putting your ideas together and stuff like that. Like it feels very cohesive, like yeah, and very true to the style of what you guys have done in the past with like DTU and even the side quest
Yeah.
EP art as well. It's very on brand, and I love the collaboration. Just like the music, it's like just adding more depth by collaborating together and having two inputs on that, right?
Yeah, the thing is that we gave it like so many time to let's say mature this final cover because we really wanted to tell something, to tell a story, and we like or at least myself had so many ideas. Oh, what about doing this concept? And then I was like, oh no, what about these other completely different concepts? So Arturo
Yeah.
was like, oh my god. So basically back to square one. I was like, yeah.
But I think there was a common ground in the sense that we were so into this theme subject that it's like so in fashion right now, which is the multiverse, like the multiple universes. We watch this film, Everything Everywhere, All at Once, or like Stranger Things, and now
Or
so
all the
many other
Spider-Man stuff that's coming out. Yeah,
Exactly.
things like
everybody's
that.
yeah.
Everywhere.
So we
So
were
yeah,
like, okay, what a better idea than that? So let's take advantage of it. It's like a
and
popular
that was
subject.
like that was an amazing thing that Arturo came up with that. Like, what about something about the multiverses? And it clicked something inside me. I was like, oh my god, yes. Because if you think about it, in our band we're kind of going from one universe to another because we are involved somehow with the video games, like video game music, but it's not really, or it's mainly uh, some somehow like video game music for a fantastic video game, like non-existing video game that we are kind of creating.
Hmm.
So that comes also with like notions of pop culture and notions of our influences, which are super different in terms of music. Because Arturo comes from a very, like alternative, indie, things like that wave. I'm more like, like punk, metal things. So it's like different universes all colliding together. So I was like, I think that point kind of sealed finally what we wanted to do. And like
Yeah.
multiverse. Oh yeah, let's do that.
And you're also kind of like visiting the multiverses of Voonic 2 itself with your different eras and stuff like that, and just kind of tying everything together. I feel like especially when a band is trying to put together like their first album, like you'll usually have like a bunch of songs, and you might not have like an idea about like how everything kind of ties together and stuff like that. And so finding
Exactly.
that way to kind of package everything and to give it like a purpose, a meaning outside of just here's a bunch of songs.
Yeah.
That's a huge creative journey in and of itself.
Oh yeah, completely,
Yeah,
completely.
there was some brainstorming also regarding the order of the songs,
Hmm.
Yeah,
and of course, yeah, everything had to be as perfect as possible. You know, like
yeah, yeah. We tried. We tried. We really, really tried to do that.
Oh man. Well, are we going to dip into our second history lesson here with our
Let's do
next
it.
listening block? All right, awesome. What do you want to say about these next three tracks before we get
So
into it?
yeah, well, that's after many painful years of trying to find musicians for the project, one time I was like having in my mind, like I completely stopped, thinking about the project for a while. I was like, I'm gonna put it in the freezer again because things are not looking good. And then just by destiny, I end up meeting Arturo because long story short, he had another project called Waves and Windows, and he had a show and he had no bassist. So
yeah,
he was like, putting ads everywhere. I need someone to play the bass. And it was in the same moment I was like, like I'm gonna put this on the freezer. I'm gonna focus on something else, just for the sake of doing music. And I found that ad, and I was like, oh, someone is needing a bassist. I'm gonna play bass just one night. So let's do it. Cool.
yeah,
So
and he really did a good job in a record time. Like he didn't have too much time to learn the songs. We rehearsed, I think, just once or twice, and then boom.
twice, yeah, we rehearsed twice, and it was like, yeah, let's do it. And yeah, I remember it was like 5 songs or something like that. So we did it, and even though it was like very short period of time, I felt, oh wow, I feel like a really good chemistry with this guy, right? So after a while, we kept in touch, and I was like, you know what? You're gonna call me crazy, but I have this weird project about video games. And we start talking, and he was like, oh, I love that. I love, all school video games. And we start like talking about
Oh, you're just in
name.
time. We just put that on the back shelf. No.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it was
So
so funny because it was quite a minute since I didn't get into video games again. But there were a lot of songs still present in my mind, and some of the songs I still whistle them when I'm I don't know, doing the dishes, cooking, or something.
mhm.
And when he showed me the project, the tracks he was working on, and I was like, wow, I really like it. And then the connection just was there, like Nintendo Entertainment System. And yeah, oh, did you play this game? Oh yeah, and yeah, I like it. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So that
exactly.
was the beginning of the story, I
But
guess.
then, like, we started, all this is around the year 2019. So we started working together. We started, like, I was showing him the songs I had. So he was, putting guitars on top of it. And we were doing couple of changes here and there, and improving a lot the songs. And we were like building basically a set list because on our mind was like, oh, let's get prepared for playing live, because I was so frustrated for so many years. And I was thinking, well, maybe this is gonna not last long enough, so I just want to play at least say I play with that project at least once or twice. So we were like
Yeah,
really pushing for it, and
yeah,
and and we were like really prepared by the end of 2019, and we were 2020 is gonna be our
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 year.
year.
year. Oh.
We're gonna play so many shows.
And also, I think it was like a perfect timing because Diego got me like I was in the middle of finishing a recording. I recorded a full album of 12 songs, and it was the very first time in my life that I dared to do the solo parts in that album I was working on. So I was kind of more confident to collaborate with Diego. So okay, so yeah, I can do some riffs, I can do some solos. Yeah, I am capable of doing it. But before that, I was more like a singer songwriter. I really never had like in mind that oh I'm gonna be like I don't know like Frank Zappa. Oh I'm gonna be like Slash. Like it was never my intention. Like I think everything flows naturally, and also the chemistry, and also like the bass that Diego provides, like it helps a lot like, in the process.
Yeah, shout outs to good bass players for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely. So yeah, like after, well, 2020 came and we all know what happened. All our plans and all our already booked shows were like, completely canceled. So
Yeah.
we were like, what now? What are we gonna do? Well, let's do more songs, right? So that was the perfect time of, like going into a second step of the project, because I had no more songs already written. So we said, okay, let's start, putting some ideas together and create like the very first Voonic 2 songs, like created by the two of us.
Hmm.
yeah.
So that was something like really special, because we didn't know exactly what like the project was going to be. And again, we come from very different worlds in terms of music. So Arturo was putting his input in some stuff, I was putting my input in some stuff, and it was like we were getting really weird stuff, really weird. And and we got like several songs. I think we wrote like something like 6 songs, six, yeah, something like that. I don't remember. And I think those are like the most weird songs in terms of what the project is, because in my opinion, if you listen to one of the songs like very separately, you may know, of course, well, yeah, they kind of are Voonic 2, because you have the chip tunes element and things like that. But I would say, wow, what is that? Maybe they have some guest musicians or something like that, because this is something, completely different. And that's basically what we're gonna listen now. 3 of those songs that are Hawkins, Interstellar, Jackhammer, and the other one is Secret Code. One particular thing about these songs, and that is gonna support what I was saying in terms of how different these songs are, is that 2 of those have lyrics, and I've never in my mind imagined the project having someone singing, something on top of the chiptunes. But Arturo was like, as he said, mainly a singer in his project. So he was like, oh, I can do that. I can write, some cool stuff about whatever we are doing, and then we'll see. So yeah, it was a very interesting experience, even though it was, like difficult times and all that. But I think it helped the project also grow and set some foundation for what came next.
Yeah, and it was also the moment when I didn't feel like the alien anymore in the project. Like
Yeah.
I felt like I was finally integrated. And
Exactly.
there's Interstellar Jackhammer. Like I dared to use an alternate tuning, so I was like, okay, it's a challenge for me because it's the very first time I'm gonna do that. Like it's the first time I'm gonna do it in public. So I was also like, okay, it has to be a good one. And then we have. Secret code that
Mhm.
it's inspired in the famous code, Konami code.
Oh
So
yes.
Diego has had a brilliant idea to write a song inspired on that, and he asked me if I could write the lyrics and the melody for this, and the result is there. The outcome, I'm pretty much contented with that song in particular.
And also, one last thing, the song Hawkins, I think
Yeah.
is the only song we have that is not really, really like related to video games, but is related, to the Stranger Things show. So
Mm.
Arturo is like super fan of it, and I was like, let's do a song about, Stranger Things. And I'm like, okay, we are experimenting, we are at home, let's do whatever.
Yeah, and the new season was just fresh back then, so we were like so full of Stranger Things. So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man. And then we get the three stranger songs uh,
Exactly.
out of it. Awesome, folks. Well, we are going to listen to those three tracks then. We are going to listen to track 3, which is called Secret Code. And then we're going to hear track 7 and 8, Interstellar, Jackhammer, and Hawkins, respectively. So let's listen.
we go.
Oh man, 11. Let's go home. Let's do it. We're out of here.
Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I really love that. Yeah, definitely capturing a little bit of that adventure vibe, a little bit of a little arpeggios and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. We tried to put a little bit of that 80s vibe that the show gives. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we both were lucky that we have that kind of childhood. Like the kids in Stranger Things, like I remember me being in the bicycle with my neighbors, going to the haunted house or whatever. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Completely. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man. Well, we were talking a little bit backstage about the Montreal VGM nerd music scene. A little bit about that. Yeah, and I know Arturo, or sorry, Diego, you've been expressing some trouble in the past with like connecting with musicians and stuff like that. What are things like over there? Like, give us like a little bit of a history lesson and maybe bring us up to speed on where things are now with kind of like the local scene there.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of the big challenges that we have had with the band, and I try to, like make a name for ourselves here in Quebec, because even though the province and especially Montreal are very musical places, like here, music is really, really important. There's tons of festivals, there's tons of musicians, but the music scene is more, I would say, traditional, if we want to put it in a way.
Hmm.
So there's tons of metal bands here, like, oh, you cannot count them. It's incredible. And there's tons of metal festivals. Same for punk festivals. Same for pop festivals and things like that. So, like, if you're on those kind of trains, this is the place where you're gonna ride. But if you go more into the nerd, scene, into these kind of geek, obscure waters, you're gonna have a hard time. Like, it's really, really hard. Like, I don't think we have met many VGM acts here. I remember one that is called Turbo Quest, that
Turbo Quest.
we played with them on Otakuton last year.
Mm.
They're really good, like an amazing, amazing band. But other than them, I don't think I have heard, like, like VGM acts as we know them. Like, as we see all across the US. There's not easy to find them here.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna use my microphone as like it's a fake microphone. Well, it's a good microphone, but it's not connected.
it's not
It's like to see like I'm on TV.
There we
Uh,
go.
and another thing here is that there's a slight barrier of the language. Like let's face it,
Mm,
the government gives more priority to French language
yeah.
projects. Like they try to. It's okay. They try to preserve the language,
Hmm.
and that's another challenge that
Oh
we
yeah.
face in the province. Like if you are an English act, it's going to be a little bit harder in that
Hmm.
sense, but it's not impossible neither. So,
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because we are not like we're English kind of. We don't have much lyrics. Just two of the songs have lyrics. But even though, like, we kind of communicate mainly in the shows and everything in English. So, and yeah, like video games and covers, we do tend to be like known in English. So it's very hard to go to a show and try to translate all the names of the games and soundtracks that we play. And so yeah, it's harder. It's very hard. And we don't have much festivals here around that where we could make part of it. When I see, like, I don't know, like, I Google VGM fests, all of them are in the US. So you have MacFest and down there, like, everything you want to imagine.
Yeah.
But here is like no, nothing.
which is kind of a contradiction because people love video games here, and there's
Yeah,
video game producers like is Ubisoft that is here
yeah.
in
We
Montreal.
have
So
Ubisoft
it's
here, and yeah.
so there are many different studios that produce video games, and there are schools that teach people to create video games, and there's a lot of people who love playing video games, but still, it's kind of weird that
Yeah,
there's not a
completely.
lot of.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
My
and there's
phone
one
is.
less. Yeah, no, it's just
Well,
Too much passion.
oh man. Well, funny you should say that. Dominic Arsenal, aka multi-memory controller, just popped
Oh
up
yes.
in
Yeah,
chat
yeah, yeah.
here. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Have you guys been
I
able to
know
connect
he's
at
in.
all?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's from Montreal, and we definitely need to join forces to try to make something here, because otherwise, yeah, things are gonna continue very difficult.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think of who else I know there in Montreal. Max Noel, who plays bass in the Tiberian Suns, actually, he just took off because they're going to be playing a show in the Czech Republic.
Oh,
But
okay,
I'm pretty sure he's there in Montreal. I think he's very much a family man. I don't know how much he gets out,
okay,
but yeah,
okay.
he's there.
Ah,
And
we were talking about Game Genie Sokola.
Sokolov, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's Montreal too. So
Oh,
yeah,
really?
we have
Oh, I
some
didn't.
acts. It's true,
Yeah.
but yeah, like we don't even have a fest. We should, like, I'm gonna talk to these guys. Let's do a fest. Let's do. Yeah,
yeah.
Well, there is something coming up
there
actually.
is something coming up. Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Do you want to save that one for later after?
Let's save it for later. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Let's create like some hype.
Yeah. All right. Cool. 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 Well, in that case, we're going to use that as a natural segue into talking about the last three tracks that we have to listen to here, because these are more up to speed. These are more current Voonic 2 songs. So we had our history lesson. We had our little window into your creative turbulence and
Yeah.
finding yourself and your expression. And these last three tracks are something else. So why don't you tell us where we are now?
For sure. So then, after everything kind of went to normal after the pandemic and all that, we had like big, I would say, almost 2 years and a half of working together with Arturo. We had under our belt just a couple of shows, but a lot of work, like between ourselves. So a lot of songs and a lot of things, and I think that helped us, anyways, to kind of find some sounds, some identity, some things that we liked, some things that we didn't like, some things that we wanted to explore, things like that. So that helped us mature as a band. So after the pandemic and we started kind of opening again to the world and finding shows and playing a little bit more live. We stopped a little bit for a time, the composing part of the band. But after that, after a while, we kind of continue having that urge of creating new songs, because it was like a really fun process. It was a really fun thing that we found between ourselves. But this time, when we restarted creating songs, it was like a different feeling. Like as Arturo said at the beginning, it was like, oh, finally I'm part of the band, so I'm gonna try to fit, and let's see, like very kind of how do you like what I do here? How do you like that? Very cautious, like
I,
between the two
I
parts.
when I
But
came there to do crazier stuff or
yeah,
whatever. Like
but
yeah,
now it's
or
like, oh yeah, we know each other very well. We know what we can do. We know what could be like really cool. So we started, like shooting out ideas, and things started flowing like really really fast. And one thing that I think we both had in our minds during this time was, we really need to focus on creating like what Voonic 2 is, which is soundtracks for a video game, right? So we really want to sound like we are creating the music for a video game. So there are a lot of elements that kind of point you into that direction, especially because since we are using chiptunes, we wanted to go into that direction, to old school, like very classic soundtracks, like Zelda and things like that. So we want to kind of try to emulate that, to be in that sense.
Emulate
um,
that. Oh, I see what you did there.
yeah. And one of the things that is kind of interesting about those songs, like very old school songs, is that they work very well as a loop, right? So if you see them, like Mega Man, like I don't know, just point any song of those classic games, and they are a loop, and they can continue forever, right? And it's very difficult for you to get bored about the music, even though it's the same.
Mhm.
So we focus on that, and we try to make something similar. And the three songs that we're gonna listen in the of the third block kind of try to do that. So they're like, like the main idea is to kind of close your eyes and imagine you're playing a video game like a shooter or a kind of these old school games, and see that the music kind of fits the feeling of that. So I think we did a very good job on that. um,
Yeah, and there's also the factor that musically, like we have our particular sides, both Diego and I, but in the video game soundtracks, we also have our very particular point of view because he Diego likes like these very mainstream video games, and I
mhm.
really love like all those obscure video games that almost nobody heard about them, and I'm always scavenging through
Yes.
internet because I'm trying to remember, oh, this game I played when I was 7 years old, what was the name of it? Like the other day I was like having a challenge with the algorithm to find a video game that I really love. It's called Space Runner from Nintendo Entertainment System, and it's a video game that almost nobody heard about. And it's
Mhm.
also like a copy of a Sega game called Space Harrier, kind of.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
I feel
Yeah,
like Space Harrier is at least a little bit more known in
for
the
sure.
true VGM scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's where we were. So those three songs are, I would say, those three are ones that I really enjoy playing, that I really enjoy having in live shows, and they usually have like the most like positive feedback. So that reinforces that we were going into the right direction, right? So yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, why don't we give them a listen then? Yeah, we are going to be hearing track 2 off this album called Shinobi Fox, and then we'll hear track 5 called Robo Sloth. I love that, love that title. And then the last track on the album, Paladin versus Witch. So
Yeah, that robot slot is basically inspiring Mega Man. We wanted to have our own master robot. So I was like, what have not been done? Fire, ice, cut. So I was like, slot. A slot is not taken. Let's do it.
awesome. Okay. Well, yeah, and these ones are going to be feeling like you're playing Mega Man or any other video game for that
That's it.
matter. All right. So then, let's listen. Oh my God! What an epic battle to end things off there. Paladin versus Witch. Yeah, Dominic was pointing out. Yeah, definitely sounds like some spooky energy going on there. There's definitely like some kind of musical clash of ideas. Yeah, bravo,
Yeah,
well done,
completely.
guys. What an excellent first album. Yeah, everybody. Well, that is going to be available across all streaming platforms as well as Bandcamp as of tomorrow. There's a link in chat. Definitely head on over there and get a pre-order. Yeah, guys, any final thoughts on this wonderful piece of art that you've created for us?
Well, we hope you have enjoyed it. Hopefully, it's gonna be part of your collection from now on. And yeah, we're really happy. I think it was a very fun time doing it. We had fun, like recording it, conceiving the songs. Like all the process has been like really positive. So yeah, I think it's a good end of a very good story.
Yeah, like we are pretty much contented with the outcome, and we hope everyone is going to like it. So it's going to be available tomorrow. So you can visit our website.
Awesome, and you guys have a good number of opportunities coming up to not only perform the music but also to sell this album. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of your upcoming shows for 2023?
Yeah, for sure. 2023 has been, I would say, one of the best years for us in terms of
Yeah,
everything. Like the album, we have a couple of shows already that were like really good. We opened for Beat Brigade in the end of March. That was a really cool show. So a lot of people, finally, I think we finally met some real VGM fans here from
true.
Montreal. So that was really good. Before it was like, yeah, it's a show, more generic show, but this one was like really focused. So it was like really good.
Nice.
Uh, and
Yeah, there was
we,
some personally there was some kind of pressure to open to a
Ah,
band like Beat Brigade. I was
oh yeah,
kind of nervous, but I
yeah,
think we did pretty good. We
yeah,
did pretty good.
yeah. Like it was packed for seeing Beat Brigade. So imagine like it was
Yeah,
like,
oh
oh my
my
god,
god.
yeah.
there's a lot of people. So this thing needs to go well, or it's gonna be like a lot of hate.
Oh,
So yeah, but fortunately, it was very good.
nice.
And now, yeah, we have a couple of festivals scheduled already. So we're gonna play one show here in Montreal in June 10 for a festival called Nerdstock. So as we were discussing with Josh, it's more of a nerdcore festival,
Hmm.
but we're gonna have like very cool artists for a full day of nerdiness and geekness. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty interesting. And then we're gonna play also on July on the same festival, Nerdstock, but this time in Ottawa, the Ottawa version, which is more of a, I would say, a little bit more metal
Hmm.
festival.
Yeah, you guys have Master Sword on that bill,
Master
don't
Sword
you?
is gonna be there,
Yes,
yeah,
that's
with
Yeah.
the
it.
headline. So there's a couple of really good metal acts from Montreal and Ottawa. So yeah, it's gonna be a really fantastic show.
Right on. Awesome. Well, I hope we get to see more of you here on Bonus Stage. I'm looking forward to the next album that you guys are putting out. Yeah, who knows where you guys are going to be creatively by then?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
Brainstorming.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I think we are like as we were discussing, we are in the process of working already in several new songs. So yeah, for sure. I don't think it's gonna take us very long to start the next one. So yeah, we'll see.
Nice, man. Well, I do hope you guys get a moment to bask in and enjoy, having given birth and just kind of rest your womb a little bit. But I can't blame you if you want to
Oh
get
yeah,
back into the swing of things.
for
Yeah,
sure.
awesome. Well, it's been a real good time having you guys on the show. Yeah, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you everybody in chat for chiming in and sharing your excitement with us. I'm just gonna put on some tunes, and we'll decide if we want to rate out to anybody else. But otherwise, thanks for being here for Let's Listen tonight, folks.
Thanks to you. Thank you
Thank
very
you very
much.
much.
Absolutely, and we'll see you all next time, folks. Take care. Have a good night.
Bye. Thank you.